Welcome, everybody. I am Dr. Dream, and you have found yourself, well, you know where you found yourself, the It's All Good show. And today we're coming to you from the Countryside Scalar Energy Center in Whitewater, Kansas. This is an EE system center, and it's very exciting. And also, this is, I don't know if you call it a milestone, but let's call it a first. This is the first time that I've done an interview that wasn't Zoom to Zoom, and instead is like we're right here. And so
let's prove it.
It's woo, it's really it's kind of wild for me because I'm not at all used to
not
this.
In a square,
right?
We could put a picture frame up for you.
We fit perfectly in a rectangle, which is kind of nice. So you can tell we're having a lot of fun. My guest today is Vienna Dunham. She is a massage therapist, and she is I would say expert at emotion code and body code, like specialist. What specialist?
Practitioner.
Practitioner. Well, I imagine that anyone that has had an experience with her in these areas would call her exceptional. I had the opportunity earlier summer of 2024 to meet Vienna. She came to the center that I was practicing out of in Kansas City, and I was able to do some of my session work on her. And then this past January 1st, so just a few weeks ago, she came to Kansas City for where she lives. So I came to Kansas City. Anyway, we were both in Kansas City at the same time for our January 1st Tour of Love, Sacred Sounds, and Scalar Energy experience. And at that time, we were talking about the podcast, and she said, you know, I would love to, if you're open to it, be a guest on your podcast and show people, teach people about muscle testing. And before I could say anything in the corner, Stephanie said, yes, you're on.
And Stephanie's vote counts for 2.
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter what you thought.
Didn't matter at all. That's the way it works. Happy wife, happy life. So somewhere Bliss, our dog, gets in there too. So happy Bliss, happy wife, happy life. It all works out. So I'm excited. You came today to another Tour of Love experience that we did here in Whitewater, Kansas. And so we're kind of flying high from those energies, you know, still.
And we're sitting in the room with it still running.
Right. So, I mean, it's nonstop. And so this will be fun. Have you done muscle testing in a EE system?
I have not.
Okay. So this is good. And you were already familiar. You've been at some different EE systems around the country. Yeah. So you're already a fan of the scalar energy and the experiences. I see you're wearing your medallion as I am. I mean, okay, this is fabulous. So before we get started, I think it's important for you to introduce yourself and kind of how did you get to this place that you're able to teach us about muscle testing?
I would love to share that because it has been a journey, and it scratched a really deep itch, we might say, just really met a need that I had. So I'm glad to share that. So I like to say, who's it for? And basically anybody that's breathing is able to do this. There's actually...
That's a very broad market. That's nice.
This is not a niche market. And some people might say, I don't know, I've seen it all done with hands and arms. Maybe somebody who's paralyzed can't. And I have to say, there's one of them that I will demo for you today. We won't go teaching in depth on all of them, but just to say, this is how much the whole body is eager to communicate with us. There's one with your breath. So that's why anyone who's breathing qualifies.
I like that. That's good. And so that would be most of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Certainly most of the people that are watching this would qualify.
That's good news. I'm glad to know who your audience is.
They're alive.
There
may not be a lot of them, but the ones that are there, they're absolutely alive.
Oh, this is good news to me. Thank you very much. So, and then the other kind of a qualifier for it is anybody who's ever wanted more information than they currently had available. So, like, how many times have I stood at the health food store in front of a vitamin C shelf and gone, how many milligrams do I need? Which brand is best? Citrate, there's just all the questions. Or which one's the best price, which is not exactly going to get me the best result all the time, right? So once I found muscle testing, applied kinesiology, I went, oh my goodness, now I can actually verifiably get the thing that my body wants at this time, not just kind of like a test 5 years ago that said, oh yeah, you could use this. This is in the moment now information.
So this is relatable to something that I do all the time and really count on is my work with a pendulum. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of the same. I mean, it is the same field that we're tapping into. That is right. So this is fabulous, and you don't need to carry a pendulum to be able to do this.
To the health food store and stand there waiting for.
Right.
Oh, it's not that one.
I love it. So tell us, how do you want to start this process? I mean, we're obviously flying off the cuff here.
Yes.
Emphasis on flying.
So, like, what other kinds of things might it be useful for? So let's say New Year's Day, coming to your event, there was another community that I just love doing their events, and they had one starting 2 hours before yours, and it was online. And so I thought, well, I could tap into that one on the way to yours while riding in the car with a friend. And I thought, let me just muscle test. Would that be wisdom for me? And it was like, nope. And it was like, okay, I get to be here now preparing me for this experience coming. And the other thing that did for me is even now when I hear people in that other community that I meet with daily, and I hear them saying, oh, that New Year's Day thing we did, wasn't it awesome what they shared? And normally if I hadn't checked that out, if I just missed it, I would have been like, oh, I missed something. And now, so this just takes that fear of missing out away from me. I muscle tested what was in my best interest, and now I can just relax.
So I need to ask you something before we go on. How much are you using muscle testing in your everyday life?
That's the best news. That is, I just can't even tell you how many times a day because I probably can't count that high. I mean, it's just like all the time. If I go to the fridge and I pull out leftovers from 4 days ago and go, ooh, I wonder if this is still good. I muscle test it. I go, is this safe for me to eat right now? Well, actually, this brings up I'm going to bring it up later.
We talked about this.
Yes, we did. I have grown accustomed to saying questions. And I just got done reading in David R. Hawkins' book, Power versus Force.
One of my favorite books.
Earlier this year, that you'll get a better result if you do statements instead of questions. And sure enough, when I have asked questions, I've been like, oh, is that a good question? Could I ask that another way? And I get all kind of twisty in my mind before I ever even muscle test for the answer. So when I read that, I went, actually, if I'll bring myself to the point of containment of a statement, I'm going to get a much better result.
So give us an example and use the January 1st example.
Perfect.
I believe when you just described it, you described it as a question. Did you? I would have to rewind this, but I think that it was.
I think I probably did actually ask a question, but I meant to do a statement.
So what would the statement be?
So the statement would be, it's in my best interest to tune in for the legendary event today. And it was like, no. I was like, and then I'll cross-reference and do the flip and say, it's in my best interest to focus all my intention and beingness on the event with Dr. Dream and Stephanie. And that was a yes.
So
Good enough
for me with the pendulum, if I'm used to asking, is blank in my highest and best interest, instead I would say, this is in my highest and best.
Yes.
Or this is for my highest and best.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm already
Perfect.
learning something.
Woo!
This is really good.
And the other thing I'll just say at the outset, if I'm going to step in, it's kind of like, what would be an example of the halfway in thing? You know, like there's a joke about you can't be halfway pregnant. You either are or you aren't. You know, just if you're gonna, since you're here, we're gonna trust you haven't turned it off yet. You're interested in muscle testing and tapping into higher information, your inner being, higher self, your spirit, connected with the Holy Spirit, the Great Spirit. You know, it's your inner being connecting with the bigger outer field. So, in that sense, if you're going to do it, you might as well trust it. And I do say at the outset, I started with smaller scale. What's the word?
Things that were not like as big or immense, or
Exactly.
Something. You started.
There wasn't a lot writing on it.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I wasn't like making bets on anything, and no, just no. So in that, like, for instance, if someone's going to practice, you could say, this wall is orange. Well, we're in a, if you can tell, lavender walled room, and so that better say no. And then you say the wall is white. No, the wall is lavender. Yes. And so that's how you practice on things that are just undeniable. And the more you do it, the more you come to trust. And so that's a way we build confidence.
So let me ask you, because this has come up with Stephanie and myself. We picked our dog Bliss out of 3 dogs, and we used the pendulum. Okay. And shortly after we used the pendulum and got the answer, Stephanie said, "I think we should ask again." And I said, "Babe, you're in for, I mean, we're either fully trusting this or we're not. And I don't believe that it's appropriate to ask a second time." Now, it's probably just me being a control freak, but is there something to that? Like, if you really trust it, do you ever ask twice?
The reason I would ask twice ever is because on something like that that's relational, I'd say you're making a choice. You're not going to get a new dog every week because this is you're making a commitment there. So that's one thing. But like, is this falafel good for me? Tomorrow it may not sit well with me. So there are times on things where it matters about a change in your body or your emotions or your, and where it's like I could clear an emotion and then I may get a different answer. So there are times if there are variables. So if there was something, somebody had picked a particular dog and then found out they were allergic to this kind of dog's hair, they might say, you know what, let's check again in light of this.
Okay. So I did have an experience and it was all in this time that Stephanie and I were going deeper with the pendulum, and she was a little bit hesitant to be fully trusting of it. And so I was kind of working with all that in my mind, and I was at an event, and person was interested in getting some of our Himalayan healing bowls.
Okay.
And I knew that she muscle tests everything. And I said, "What did you find when you muscle tested?"
Okay.
And well, she said, I at first she said, I want to get 7 bowls. And then she came back and she said, I'm thinking I just want to get 1 bowl. And I said, "Oh, well, I mean, whatever you want to get, but I know you've already muscle tested this. What answer did you get?" And she said, "Oh, the muscle test said to get 7 bowls." And I said to her, I said, "Okay, so this is just, appropriate for this timing, because Stephanie and I are kind of dealing with this of like picking and choosing what you want to believe. I said, how do you integrate that you're going against what your muscle test said? And she thought about it and she asked again and she ended up getting 7 bulls. So it worked out great for me. But no, but it was just interesting because it's really what is it? In for a penny, in for a pound. That you've got to really set up this energetic, and that's why you start with things that aren't, the biggest questions and things like that. And you just need to build that trust, but you get to a certain point where no matter what it says, no matter what your body is saying, you're going to go along with it, right?
If I want to do what's in my highest good. But then there are times when it's like, or, I may muscle taste, how about this piece of pumpkin pie? Is this for my highest and best? And it's no. And it's like, well, that's okay. I feel like it's Thanksgiving. I want pumpkin pie. So if I can handle the stakes.
Wow. So I can still have pie. This is really
pie too.
So this is interesting because I'm still at a point that I stay away from asking things that I feel I am really emotionally vested in.
Yes, I agree.
Where I'm just at that place where I don't know if I can trust them. This is me with the pendulum, and I may learn. I'm definitely going to learn something new in this experience with you. But I'm like, I can't ask. I could ask for someone else because I'm not vested in the answer,
right?
And I'm totally comfortable with that. But if it's me, sometimes I'm like, this isn't something I can test myself on.
And that's the buddy system. That's why we have friends. That's why we're a community, because we really can't test our own emotionally vested things reliably. So Dr. Nelson is the one who wrote Emotion Code, Body Code, and he would say it was downloaded to him. He gives credit where credit's due. And he gave the example, he and his wife were muscle testing. They were having another child. I won't pretend like I remember which number it was. And they both got that it was a boy. Well, you know what? I don't remember exactly, but it turned out to be the opposite of what they both got in their muscle testing. And so his takeaway from that was your other than conscious mind, which is involved in this, can want to please you. If you're like just really, really, really wanting a certain answer, you may get that.
This is an exact situation I had. My daughter was pregnant. I checked with the pendulum.
Yep.
Says she's going to have a daughter.
Okay.
Her mother checks with the pendulum, says she's going to have a daughter. Maya checks with the pendulum, says she's going to have a daughter. We're all there at the birth, and they're not doing the pre-tests or whatever to see what it is. So It's like surprise when the baby comes out. We're all there. We're expecting a daughter, and sure enough, not a daughter. It's a boy. And it threw us all. And it was that thing where I was like, so how do we know? Okay.
These are great questions. We're a third of the way through the program. And that is great, because this is like felt need, right? We're answering important questions. So I heard somebody give an example the other day of, I often get asked, oh, would you ask if this is the person I should marry? I'm going, no. We have relational connections for that kind of, there's wisdom, traditional family wisdom or something. There are other places to get that kind of information. And there's a lot writing on that, so that you want to cross-check that. You can muscle test for it, but cross-check it too. And this person gave the example of, so someone came to him as, you have the capacity to tell me whether or not this person is the one I should marry. Not in front of him, but I didn't mean like this person. And like, this is the person that I should marry. And so would you please tell me? And they said, okay, I'm going to tell you something just for an example. He's not the one. And then they watched the face and they went, oh, You already have your answer. You believe in your heart that he's the one. So you don't have to ask any further. You're looking for some kind of confirmation outside of yourself when inside of yourself, you know. And if I had said, he's the one, and you went, oh, then you'd know.
Right.
I thought that was perfect to employ our friends as, could you just ask me a straight question and I'll give a response?
Okay.
So that's interesting too. Another way to get at internal information.
Right.
Because I just love that our spirit, our eternal part, what was existed before and dropped into this body for this time, and then will exist forever after, right? No matter what else happens anywhere along that, it's not even a line, right? Time is here and now. But anyway, along the circle or whatever it is, we're part of us we laughed earlier today about the word squoze. Part of us got squoze into this body. And not all of our spirit, I believe, this is my current understanding, got squoze into this body. We have an aura. We have an energy field outside of ourselves. Our heart, what is it? Magnetic field is out. They have instruments now that can measure, is 10 feet out from us. So we're definitely not all into this body. So that just says to me that eternal part of us is still in connection with spirit, that bigger. And I'm going to really on purpose not filter in as much as I can any personal to anybody in the group religious words or anything else. We were born into this body. Some of our spirit squoze in, and then so that's been a iffy thing for me to go, oh dear, what if some of my friends hear me? It's like, right. No, just know I cannot be quiet about this message, about this beautiful access to this information field that we have.
So I've got to ask, so back to the example with my daughter and us, yes. All three of us thinking that she's going to have a girl. So at that point, it would have been good to cross-reference and maybe give you a call and say, what are you getting from this? And then you call maybe that other person that got the bowls from us and say, we're just sort of cross-checking all of this. And what are you getting from this? And then how do you choose? Like, so you'd be tapped in because you're not vested in it. And so daughter, son, doesn't matter to you, healthy baby, hallelujah. And the other person would have said a son also, I'm figuring. So now I've got two people that I trust saying that it's going to be a boy and three of us saying that it's going to be a daughter.
And then at some point, do you say, do we need to know? Is it, other than painting the bedroom a certain color or buying a blanket, there's just the old-fashioned surprise factor. Like, for a reason, they didn't get a test. If they really, really wanted to know, they could have gotten a test.
Right.
We do have the technology.
Yes.
But, maybe sometimes you just go, hey, let's see. This is a fun experiment.
Okay.
Be curious.
I like that. All right. Now I said to you before the interview, I'm like, no, I'm not going to say a lot. I'm just going to kind of let you go with it. And all of a sudden I'm driving the bus and you're along for the ride. I'm going to hand the steering wheel back over to you and see where you want to go with all of this.
You asked a little bit about my background. So massage therapist, emotion code, body code, and now kind of into this whole muscle testing thing. And so I had such a delightful time. A friend of mine was all about human design. And I was like, what? Human what? And so she encouraged us to go get my free human design chart, whatever.com. And I've not looked into a lot of that kind of thing, but everybody in the room that I was sitting in knew what their human design was. And so I said, yeah, information's information. I'll take it. So I got this chart, and when I found, so just for any of you that may happen to know, I'm a projector 1-3. And let's see, I'll just tell you the definition. So when I looked this up, it was such confirmation to me. I am designed to provoke people to identify and release tension to increase the flow of energy in their lives. That describes everything I do.
That's fabulous.
I was like, woohoo! So that meant a lot. So in massage realm, it's orthobionomy is my field of study that I love the most. And that is about putting muscles at rest. Instead of stretching, you put it at rest, you make it slack. Go exaggerate the pattern. And then when it's slack, it's filling with blood and then can't be that tight wrung out muscle anymore. So it's this whole other way of approaching muscles. I just love it, and it works like a dream. A dream.
I love that.
A dream within a dream, to quote a certain movie. Anyway, and just as a gift to your listeners, anybody that's interested in a self-care book for releasing muscle tension, it's available free download at stopthepainbook.com. We'll put it in the show notes. But that's one of those release tension to increase flow. So that's me doing that in the physical realm. Okay. Now, emotional realm is emotion code. And when I release trapped emotions, then there's room for love to come in. Because whatever fear or grief or worthlessness I had going on, that's not full of love. I'm just saying, right? So on the tour of love, toss out all the denser, low vibrating energies. And I'll make a point of, sometimes we use the words positive, negative, is something that brings you an important message really negative. Like, I needed to know that I was dwelling in hopelessness. So that was a positive message from a low vibrating energy.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, just always like to put that in for people because it was a reframe for me. So that's me doing that on an emotional. And then in the spiritual, whatever else we might call that realm, it's this, I was feeling angst. So I had decision, drama, and trauma. Many different points in my life. Where should I go to school? What should I study? This friend, that friend, all the things. And then when I realized I had taken the emotion code training and body code, that's where I got comfortable with muscle testing, really gained a lot of confidence in it. So I'm going along. That
was part of the training?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's how you find out the emotions to release.
Oh, okay.
So there's a chart of 60 emotions. Dr. Bradley Nelson. If you're interested in that, discoverhealing.com, a lot of information. I love giving credit where I pick things up because if anybody else wants to follow the breadcrumbs, you're surely welcome to do that. And it's like emotion code there's a book. You can learn it for yourself from a book, and you take these muscle testing skill thoughts, practice them, and you'll be able to do emotion code for yourself.
Wow.
Pretty amazing.
Fabulous.
Yep. Body code's a little more intricate, but it's the emotion code course used to be 8 hours on a Saturday. So it's just not even difficult to get a hold of. So then when transitioning into this whole decision-making idea, it's like, it just like came to me one day. I was struggling with a decision and I had just finished doing an emotion code session for someone and then closed that out, came back to my decision and went, wait a minute. Could I use muscle testing? So this is a prayer, could I use muscle testing as training wheels until I'm more tuned in, more confident that I'm in line with spirit? And it was I'm going, yes, 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 yes. I was one excited lady that it was like, that's the connection I've been yearning for. That the two-way street, you can pray all day long, but if you don't feel like you can hear, what have you got? Mm-hmm. I mean, you've done a good thing, but just saying, I was yearning for that feedback back, and it wasn't coming as an audible voice. And so, ta-da! So that was my great delight. So when we get to the part about telling the different kinds of muscle testing. So I'm demonstrating the kind that works best for me, is most efficient. I'll go into that in a minute. And so I did a course with Dr. Rewire, it was called, and he was trying to help people find
Is that his real name?
No, Dr.
Okay.
Trivedi, but who could remember, you know? And,
well, that's why I'm Dr. Dream. And so
there you go.
I'm like, wow, well, Rewire was taken. So I went with my second choice.
Absolutely. And he thought, I want to be known as the guy doing that. So anyway, benefited greatly from his courses. And so he was, now I got myself off track. What were we talking about with Dr. Rewire? Oh my goodness. So it was finding our purpose. And so he was saying, go from childhood trauma, drama, and kind of like what was difficult in your childhood that you wouldn't want other people to have to go through. And then that becomes your purpose. And so I was like, okay, I was in a tornado, but I didn't become a weather person. So nope, that wasn't that. And then, you know, I thought of a few other traumas along the way, and none of those brought me to what it was that I love doing. I thought, because I'd been kind of thinking, okay, do I still do massage? Do I go to the emotion code stuff? Do I go over here? Do I do this? Do I do that? Had plenty of options. And then as I thought about what's really lighting me up right now, I thought every time I teach an individual muscle testing, I just get high. I mean, I'm just way up there. When the light bulb goes on for you, the light bulb goes on for me. So it's just the most amazing feeling when you see somebody go, the first time they sense their body talking to them, it's just like, this changes everything. Absolutely. I don't have to sit in the dark anymore wondering what's going on. So that's how it is that I came to choose this as my focus right now.
Yeah. Wonderful.
So yippee skippy. So that's what we're doing here today. That's why I stepped up and asked, could we do this?
Excellent.
All right. So where it came from is applied kinesiology, is its a fancy name, right? And there was a Dr. Goodhart, my understanding is over 100 years ago, and he had a thing where he was noticing physical things. And so things like supplements. Some supplements were like universally helpful to people when he'd muscle test. And so he's checking an indicator muscle for strong, weak, locked, unlocked, and just across the board. That was something that was useful to humankind, right? And then followed up by Dr. Diamond, who took that into mental, emotional, intellectual places. And so if someone says to you, I love you, and boy, let me tell you, I'm loving being around this tour of love to watch Dr. Dream and Stephanie. And it's just all the time, I love you, I love you. Warms my heart. So when we speak like that with others, their vibration remains high, rises, whatever it is they need, right? And if you're in a situation where you keep having people, you'll never amount to anything kind of thing, down it goes, right? So those kinds of things, words can impact the integrity of our system. So that's what Dr. Diamond did. And then Dr. Hawkins took that and said, oh my gosh, the implications of this. Could we, as a culture, as a humanity, come to the point where we could go, this connecting with this bigger field of information is so reliable? And he did double-blind studies, you know, it was millions of bits of information on thousands of people. And he said, this, what he has found it to be, is so reliable that we could discern truth in it for a court of law. You know, it's just like, what would change? Or you could ask the question, does this politician have the intention to fulfill their campaign promises? Well,
But we'd want to do that as a statement instead of a question. See, I am actually listening. I'm sitting here and, I'm actually taking it all in and I'm in my process. So
you will be part of my transformation. Thank you for that. That's good. We get by with a little help from our friends.
That's right. That's right. I like that.
That's so perfect. So that's what this is stacked on. That's the foundation, and that's what we're going up on. So a few more things that you might find it useful for. Sometimes when I'm driving and my GPS says, oh, you can go this way, this way, this way. This one's faster. This one has a toll. This one, whatever. And if I'm just trying to figure that out in my brain, I don't know who's going to be driving on that one and they're going to get careless and whatever. And yet that's a known thing. In this information field that's outside of time, that's all known. It just blows my mind, but I do believe that to be true. So, yeah, and I wasn't really asking my mind anyway.
Right.
Because it only knows what it's been told. There we go.
Okay.
So I'll muscle test which of these routes would be for my highest and best today. So that's pretty useful. I used to kill every plant I owned. I don't know why. Overwater, underwater, whatever the deal was. So then the day came and I went, oh, could I use this for helping my plants thrive? I was like, yes. I went, oh, grand. So I'd go up to a plant. This one needs water. Yes. Okay. This one needs more than 8 ounces of water. I did a question, but I just now changed it.
Right. No, I like that. I'm paying attention.
So this one needs more than 8 ounces of water. No, this one needs more than 4 ounces. Yeah, 4, 5, 6. 6 ounces of water. And then I would pour it from my pitcher into a measuring cup and pour it on the plant. And now all my plants are thriving. Oh, that was useful.
That's really great.
Super useful. Leftovers. How many days has it been in the fridge? Is it still this is safe for me to eat? Nope. If I'm doing stand and sway, no. Okay. So I just throw it away. I stopped questioning it because you can play a mental game and you can decide. And then if you get sick, well, that's on you. But anyway, so in that case, I go ahead and trust it because that's my choice to do that. And then if it says it's good, even if I still have a question in my mind, I heat it well, and then I eat it in confidence.
So let me ask another question.
Steering wheel, back to you.
So with my pendulum, I'm learning today that it's to work with statements, but in the past I've always asked questions. And I either get a yes, which for me is clockwise, or I get a no, which is counterclockwise, or I get a back and forth, which is neither. And it's either there's a variable that is unknown, or the question needs to be reworded, or in this scenario, the statement needs to be reworded. Does that happen with muscle testing?
It does. And I love it. That's like next level, and that's okay, because some of our viewers are going to be at that place where they're ready and some of you will have surpassed this, and some of you will have studied this in great depth. And I honor that. And I want to let you know that I'm here for simplicity. And my role is probably pretty baseline, helping people entry level come in.
Until I ask the advanced questions and throw you under the bus, so to speak, that I'm driving.
That's awesome. So, and I will answer that briefly. Sometimes it's like, so that's a solid yes in this format. We'll teach you in a minute, several minutes. This is no, it just doesn't hold. And then sometimes it's kind of like, and it kind of catches, but goes on through. So that to me is the neither. And so often it does mean, let's state that another way. I'm going to have this by the end of this.
I know, right? We're both going to learn this in the hour or so.
That's good. Repetition. So when it's a little sticky like that, I go, do I need to take another angle with this? Yes. Okay. So then I just be curious and I ask along another way. And the other place that I find that is, this is the best pillow for me to buy. No. And you go, okay, well, there's only 2 choices here, so is there a good pillow here? Or no, there is a good pillow here for me to buy today. Yes. Okay. And so then I go, okay, it was no, but the other one is there's something about the other one that makes me wonder. So it then brings me to ask the question a different way. So it's like when I get a really unexpected answer, like fresh broccoli is good for me. And it's no. And I'm like, oh, this isn't the organic broccoli. Okay.
Okay.
So it's just, sometimes it's just broaden my scope and notice a few more factors.
Okay, I have another question.
I'm ready.
Okay, good.
Bring it.
I'm not sure anyone's ready for this. No. We had an election
We did.
last year.
We surely did.
And so, did you vote?
I did.
Okay, and I'm not asking who you voted for or anything. We don't need to go there. I'm not going to throw you under that bus.
18-wheeler.
Right? Like, oh my gosh. But did you beforehand muscle test, or did you in the curtained ballot box muscle test, or is this is way advanced or too basic?
I didn't, and it was kind of on purpose. I mean, it was kind of like, I'm not super big into politics, and I felt like I was doing good to get out and vote. And so there's a particular group that I let them do all the research, and I was just like, I'm just going to trust their word for it. I wasn't willing to go there.
Okay.
So yeah, great question. And it demonstrates that you don't have to muscle test absolutely everything in your day. And I acknowledge that the things that I don't choose to test, I get to live with those consequences, and that's okay. I kind of made that choice by defaulting, by not doing it.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for answering.
Oh, yeah. All right. So when there's an agenda, let me find this exact word here on my thing. When we do something that we come to it with an agenda, the trustability of the results go way down. So it's going to be a girl.
Right.
It's that kind of thing. So practice with the things that you don't have a big vested interest in is a good rule of thumb.
But at some point, if you do have a vested interest, are you okay to, like, when you know that you have an agenda that's controlling you, as opposed to, I kind of have a preference here, but I'd really like to find out the truth?
Yeah. I don't know that I have gone there and asked myself that before. At some point, if I feel like I'm not, and then sometimes it'll be yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And I'll go, is this something I don't need to know? Or, this is something that is not the time for me to know. Or I'd go ahead and phone a friend. Call in a lifeline.
So in the scenario with my daughter being pregnant and everything, maybe a few statements leading up to the baby is a boy or the baby is going to be a girl would be, I want to word everything as a question, so I'm just going to go with that because I'm still new to the statement thing. Is this something that I can test impartially? Am I too vested? Like, would I ask, like a series of questions and then have it be like, okay, based on all that, I'm not even going to ask the question because I need to call Vienna now.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Yep. That I really, really like that.
Great.
I just took some notes there.
I was just trying to, it's a thing. And I always say to people, nope, I can't. They're like, why don't you just ask that for yourself? And I'm like, I can't because I'm way too wanting something and I can control the pendulum, but I could ask for you because I don't care one way or the other what the answer is for somebody else.
Exactly.
So that's always been a little bit of a hang up for me. And so I appreciate that you've let me ask about that almost ad nauseum. So
that's perfect. All right. So one of the things then that we do is we do a calibration. So whatever method you choose, you want to know that you're in a good aligned state, you're grounded, you're, all the good things, and so you can do that with, so I would say my name is Vienna. And that's a yes. And we're still going to get to the part about what we're doing here with this and other ways that it can be done. And then my name is George. No. Okay. If it came up, like I was just working with somebody today and they said their name and went backwards. Like,
And it was their actual name.
Yeah.
And backwards means no.
No. Yeah, exactly. So
in knowing that that person probably wasn't a clone.
Although they're a twin.
Oh, are they? I didn't even know that.
That's perfect. And we've had some experience together before, and we know that with stress or whatever it is, their polarity can be off. So when polarity is off, it's like the batteries are in backwards and nothing works quite right. So what needed to happen there is there's a point out here, a meridian point called K27. So it's come down, can't see it through this jacket, but an inch or so down on my size frame and an inch or so over is the K27 meridian point. It's between the second and third rib. See if you can find a sore spot in there for you. So it's probably an inch and a half down and an inch and a half over. So inner knobby down, out, and then just poke around and find a tender spot. It's called the sore point. So it's generally tender. You find that in between two ribs there?
Yes.
Perfect.
Ow. Found it.
Did you find it? So just rub that for about a minute. Not with killer intensity. I know you can be an intense person. You don't need bruises.
No, I don't need bruises.
Vienna did this to
Stephanie's going to say, what happened in the podcast with Vienna? You weren't bruised before you did that.
She killed it. I mean,
boy, it was wild.
So then about a minute, or sometimes it's like, oh yeah, it's really not so sore anymore. So when it shifts, the recalibration has happened. So
when it's not so sore anymore?
Yep. Then the shift has taken place.
Now I know someone who does applied kinesiology, and I think she does it like this. All my sessions with her are over the phone.
Okay.
But she'll take a break and say, okay, I need to drink some water.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And so is that, if you're dehydrated, that can affect where you're at?
Partly because everything electrical happening in the body needs water. And so when we get to a certain point of dehydration, none of our systems are functioning well.
Okay.
That being included. Okay. So K27 was better. And then another one that's...
So is that what you did today on her? And then
even that wasn't quite enough.
Really?
So we did Donna Eden, energy medicine, teaches one that, so the central meridian of the body comes from the pubic bone to the lower lip. And so you can take your hands, you don't have to touch the body. And let's just stand up. We don't have to go back too far, I don't think, but so we just hands here and so we're flushing this central meridian. And just do 3 or 4 times and then always end coming up. So the other word she uses for it is zip. So you're unzip the meridian and rezip. Okay. And then you end with it zipped.
Now, can you do that in place of the K27?
Yep.
Okay.
And as it turns out, this person needed both today. They needed a whole system reset.
So let me ask you, if you just hypothetical, of course, and maybe a ridiculous question now that I'm thinking about it, but now it's too late because I already brought it up. Do you think if you had done the flush first, that would have been enough, and then the K27, or do you always do the K27 first?
I just usually do that because I'm often doing it on Zoom, just teaching it to somebody on Zoom, and this is easier to see on the camera and whatever, rather than go to the other thing. Now, interestingly, what we can do is so I'll put it in my mind, that time with that person earlier today, would the central meridian flush have been adequate? Yes. So, I mean, that's another use for the thing.
Right.
So I can suggest that to her next time.
Right.
Let's start with this and see if that's adequate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Another helpful little idea to use it for. All right. So then Let's see. All right, we're done with that page. So, what the question that came to me then was, so our conscious mind knows what it's been taught, right? That's kind of an open funnel until you're 7. Everything that you hear goes in, and then you start being able to discern and work things around in your mind. But the fact in that's the source of information is our 5 senses and all of that. And I'm not a brain expert. I'm just telling you what I've heard. And our other than conscious mind and our body know the whole story. So in our spirit, it's just not confused. But our thinker brain doesn't have a lot to contribute to these situations because of its limitations. So when we want to find that information. So let's say somebody's got allergies. Okay, that's a miserable thing, and you can spend some money, go to an allergy doctor, have some scrapes on your back, or just however anybody does it. Yeah, lots of different ways, and it may change, it may whatever. But let's just say you wanted to avoid. You have a suspicion that this kind of food bothers your body. So I'll give an example of my mother. She had a biomeridian scan, and they said eggs, and she went, "Yep, that's true. Not all the time, but a fair bit of the time when I eat eggs, my stomach's not happy. And yet I really would like to be able to eat eggs." So, all right. So what she found is what she was taught is go to the grocery store, and she was using Stand and Sway, which we'll do in a moment. She's looking at the box of eggs, acting like she's reading the label so she doesn't have to pull out a pendulum in the grocery store. Just saying, I think that fits you well, but my mom, maybe not so much.
Right. I mean, with this purple beard, I could pull out all sorts of stuff and they'd be like, yeah, I mean, he's got a purple beard. What do you expect?
Absolutely. So my demure mother can stand and read the label, and she says she's already calibrated her body long ago, right? It's good for me. I'll go forward. If not, so she didn't have to repeat it this time. She just looks at the label. If she goes forward, she puts it in the cart and goes home. If she goes backwards, she puts it down and goes until she finds one that she goes forward on, and she has not reacted to eggs again. So
did you teach her this?
Actually, it was Linda Bamber, the one who made the Wave Watch we were talking about earlier today. She has done the biomeridian scan and teaches that Stand and Sway method of muscle testing.
Well, how nice that your mother is open to all of this. I mean,
it's fantastic.
So that's nice. The tree wasn't far from where the apple fell.
Thank you for that. I like to play with words.
Right, I know. I was just like, okay, watch this.
So awesome. I have to watch your other podcasts. I just heard about them on the first.
None of them are as clever as this. There's something about being right here in connection with you. All my other guests suck. I mean, whatever. All right, let's keep going.
Moving right along. That bus is getting bigger.
I just threw myself in front of the bus. This is really great.
That's tough when you're driving.
I'm very talented.
Oh, goodness. The room just got warmer.
Right?
Okay. So, yes, Stand and Sway is awesome. I think it's what the chickens ate, to come back to the egg story. If a lot of people can feed their chickens moldy bread, mom has an issue with mold.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps they were eating moldy food.
Well, Stephanie and I can stand at the eggs for, we just were in Whole Foods recently, and we stood there for a solid amount of time. And it's like, well, pasture raised, organic, non-cooped. I mean, whatever. And it's just like, so this is helpful. This is.
Now you'll know. You can just go read the labels up close and personal. And actually, at your level of discernment, you can just probably think in your mind. You don't actually have to be touching it. That's kind of entry level.
Right.
Because you want to build confidence, But at some point, you can just use any of these testing methods. Just look at it or think about it, and you'll be able to get there.
I'm a little bit afraid that they would go to the manager at Whole Foods and say, "There's a guy with a purple beard swaying at the eggs, so we're not sure what's going on with him."
I think he's trying to hatch them.
Yeah, but something. He threw an egg against the wall, and he said, "Scrambled."
Then we just throw things and see what sticks.
I just have to point out that I've been in this room now for 12 hours today, running a lot of energy, and so this is good. We'll keep going. I'm going to let you
on we
drive
go.
back to the bus.
All right, let's see if there's anything else we need to do before we get right down to it. Be a noticer. That's one of the other things I love to talk to people about. So it started with the whole massage therapy idea. So notice in your body where you have tension, right? And for decades, as a mom with 4 kids, it was like, who had time to notice your own pain? Whatever. I really became quite proficient at stuffing it down. And sorry, body, I can't listen to you right now. There are other things going on, right? So now I'm having to unlearn all that. So now I am coming to the point of honoring my own body, soul, and spirit and figuring out what it is that I need to do for myself to raise my own vibration. So just saying, being a noticer is important. And you can, even just noticing for the questions, noticing where you need an answer. So maybe somebody's deciding which course to take. Because in this bigger energy field idea, each of those professors is known. Which ones is the best match for me? You might want to know, so let's say there's 50 Algebra 1 courses. And so am I going to have to do this with all 50? No. So here's what's fun. Take the first, divide it in 2 and say, is it A through L on the professor's last names? Or, however it's 1 through 25. Is the best course for me at this point in my statement? The best class for me at this time in my life is in the top 25. Nope. Bottom 25. Yes. 26 to 30. Yes. Ooh, 26, 27, 28, 29. And then I'd just go with it if it fit my schedule. Or you just pull out the ones that would actually fit your schedule and test them.
Okay.
Right? Super useful.
All right. Well, that was interesting about how that works. I do have to say that one of my first experiences with applied kinesiology, my daughter was 9 years old and she was getting sick quite a bit. And people were saying to me, that's what happens. They're in school and they just pass it back and forth. And I'm like, no, I don't really think that's what happens. And I was practicing as a healing practitioner out of an office that had other healing practitioners. And there was a chiropractor who trained in applied kinesiology. And so we went to him and he took a basket of samples of viruses or whatever and put it on her and said, is it in here? And the answer was yes. And then he split it in half and half and he says, is it in here? And got it down to the one thing, told her what to take, and she didn't get sick after that.
Isn't that remarkable?
And so there are chiropractors out there so whenever I look for a chiropractor, I look for a applied kinesiologist chiropractor because I feel like they are so incredibly tapped in.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly right.
The story that brought up the light bulb and everything brought up my light bulb went off with my own story. All right. Yeah, so where are we now?
Awesome. We are ready now to begin talking about putting the rubber on the road.
Okay.
Back to the tires.
Fabian, right? Just can't get away from this, can we?
All right. So here we go. So we've already talked about stand and sway. That is like one of the awesome baselines. I do want to say sometimes if I bring up muscle testing, people go, I had a chiropractor do that once. So this is a little different one. And so this is, you stick your arm out and then they press down 2 pounds of pressure for 2 seconds, and it's kind of like they just want it to bob. It's not a strength test kind of thing. And so in the muscle testing, some of the books and people talk about strong, weak.
Right.
And I think that's a misnomer because it's really locked, unlocked, because the muscle doesn't change strength. It's not like, oh, I worked out the gym yesterday and it's all gone.
Right.
No,
Okay.
So it's temporarily locked and it's just for a few seconds or temporarily unlocked in response to the question.
Right.
I mean, it's like direct correspondence. So it's super cool. So like as a teenager, my hips were actually rotated, but it appeared that one leg was longer than the other. And so one chiropractor with the knowledge that he had said, we need to put a lift in this shoe. And he said, I want to see if it's 1, 2, or 3/8. And he had 1/8-inch magazines there. And he had me stand on one. And he said, in his own mind, he didn't even have to state it out loud. He didn't explain what he was doing. But he's like, 1/8 is good for her. No. And I couldn't hold my arm up for love nor money. Like, no way. Put 2 magazines under. No, 3 magazines under. And I'm solid. I'm locked. And gave me a 3/8-inch lift, and my legs appeared the same length for a while. Till that got uncomfortable. Whatever.
I have all sorts of questions now I want to ask about your hips, and it's just going to totally take us off topic. And so I'm just going to let this one ride.
That's awesome. Okay, moving right along. So that's kind of the chiropractor standard
because that's what I was used to for a long time before the stand and sway, which I've always called body as a barometer.
Okay.
So we have the different names, and you said one of the other ones was body as a pendulum.
Human pendulum.
Yep. Human pendulum.
Yep.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and go to that one. That's like the most commonly taught.
And you call it stand and sway. Okay.
Yep. All right.
I used to do that when I used to drink.
Sure, that's right.
Nah, it was never a very good drinker.
All right. So gonna stand, and then the calibration, you only need to do it once, is, okay, body, if this is good for me, I'm going to lead forward, which you can think of as toward the thing that your body wants, or away from the thing that it doesn't want.
Okay.
And usually it's not going to be so forceful that you need to have a pillow on the floor behind you or anything, And some people go, oh, I might feel a little bit of movement. And then it's legit to say, could you show me more strongly, please? And then there's usually a little bit more. And it's kind of like if you just feel like you may not feel like you're going forward, but you kind of step forward to catch yourself, you've gone forward.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then similar for backwards.
Okay. I'm nervous now. I feel like I'm being tested a little bit. My body's like, no, we're up to it. We're tapped into universal truth. It's your mind that is challenged at the moment. I'm like, okay, this is good.
Exactly right. Exactly.
It's the normal state for me.
Perfect. So
does it matter how my feet are? Nope.
No wrong way to do the right thing.
This is so cool. I knew I was going to love this.
All right. So, what shall we test? Oh, we're going to calibrate.
Yeah,
first.
let's calibrate.
I remember this.
Right.
All right. My name is Dr. Dream, not mine. Yours.
Right. So I say this. My name is Dr. Dream.
Here he comes.
Okay. There you go. That was good.
That was right. Okay. Now, a name that's not yours, not a family member, not a pet.
My name is Sally Smith.
Not believing you.
Okay.
That's right. Your body
good.
Told the truth. It
all right.
Recognized and gave you the message. So isn't that cool that all these times
that I'm not Sally Smith.
That's actually
so
cool.
We've worked through a lot today. This is back to Dr. Dream. I could have used Dr. Rewire.
Sorry. Oh my goodness. We're having
Who knew this was going to be so much fun? Did I tell you that
there's a 3-hour limit?
I mean, I've been in the scalar energies for 12 hours today. I'm surprised my feet are still on the ground. All right.
That's it. All right. So now if you wanted to know, It's in my best interest to drink some more water.
It's in my best interest to drink some more water.
Well,
Yes.
that was a pretty strong yes. Let's stop and have a drink of
Right.
water.
I'm like, all right. So
cheers.
I
I feel like you have a handle on stand and sway.
I do feel like I have a handle on it, but it is something you need to practice, though,
Yes.
right? Like,
I'm glad you brought that up. So let's come back closer and sit down. I think we don't need to practice here now. We can let our watchers practice on their own. Feel free to pause and practice at any point. So definitely you gain confidence and skill with the practicing. The questions are important. The quality of the question matters. And yet you're starting out on low stakes. So
the same way I started with my pendulum, I would, sort of practice with the stand and sway.
Yep.
Okay.
That'll be perfect. So then the next one that I'd like to teach is, so somebody just showed me their version today. So that we said the chiropractor's checking on an indicator muscle, locked or unlocked, right? So then if you don't have someone else to do this for you, one of the ways is you can, where's the camera? Okay. So try this one.
Are we making shadow puppets? It's a duck. I'm sorry.
So I'm pressing down on my arm, like this is the other arm pressing down on this arm, so to speak. My name is Vienna, and it's resistant. It doesn't go down easily. My name is George. I can push it down easily. In fact, it can't hold.
And so this is when you need one hand free to do something else, and you just want,
yep.
Like there's a way to do without the stand and sway. There's a way you can be a little more stealthy while you're checking things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So this is one that you could kind of do behind your back. I can't find my back.
It's very challenging.
This camera thing is really messing with me. Okay. So let me get it where it can easily be seen on the background. So try this one and see if that works for you. And I will say, generally, every person that I've taught has a preference, and it's not always.
See, I'm not comfortable with this.
Okay.
That's why I put it away right away. I'm like, you know what? This isn't the one for me. Now I've done the
ringing or
the rings.
Mm-hmm. So Dr. Nelson uses for emotion code, body code. He uses ring and ring. There we go. So my name is Vienna. My name is George. And what I haven't liked about that is having 2 break points. I just want one. And my fingers got tired. In emotion code, you might be asking 100 questions.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so this is stronger. And so I take my hand like
thumb
this.
as opposed to forefinger.
Doesn't matter. To me, my thumb is so much stronger. This got tired.
Oh, okay.
So I just use that. So I'm going, my name is Vienna. My name is George. And you're holding these just tightly enough together. Wow, this is trippy to me. Okay. That it's going to hold if the answer is yes. Okay. So, and then another thing, if you get tired of the my name is, you can say, show me yes.
Right.
Show me no. Okay. Show me yes. Mm-hmm. Show me no. All right. I'm not holding any less or any more there. It's unlocked. It just doesn't hold. Okay. So there's that one. You can practice that. Then I've seen this one. I don't like this one as well. So I'm holding these together again, and I'm going to put these fingers in, and I'm going to try to pry it apart. So show me yes, and it's good and strong. Show me no.
I don't like that one personally.
Okay, perfect. So we're just giving people options. We've done stand and sway, arm, fingers, ring and ring. Okay, so now we're going to go to the alternative ones. These are just crazy fun to me. So one is, and this just amazes me that it's not, so this is an indicator muscle. They chose this, anterior deltoid, because this doesn't exhaust easily. And so if they're doing a whole bunch of questions, and it's not a big strength test anyway. But whereas there are some others that might just go like, oh, my arm's just tired, doc, I can't do this anymore. So that's what they're avoiding with that. But the fact that every part of the body is in on this, locked or unlocked. So I am so eager to see how this one works for you. So you just take a little sniff of air, and you don't have to hear yourself sniff. I'm just going to show about how strong to do it. So, okay. So now show me yes. Show me no. I heard the difference. Did you feel the difference?
I felt the difference.
Yeah. So like just not as much air can come in. One woman that I was teaching, her nostrils actually went in like a camel when it was no. There was no way to get air in.
That's kind of wild. So, I mean, most people find just the one way that works for them, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think I'm going to want to do the sniffing one.
Here's where that came in. When I'm doing a massage, I'm asking, I've got oil on my hands. I'm slip sliding all over the place, right?
Okay.
But what's really fun is in body work and emotion code, sometimes you'll come across trapped emotions. And it's like so my other real love is ribs. Who knew ribs were a thing? And I'm from Kansas City. I know ribs.
You beat me to it. I was working up a joke there, and like you totally beat me to it. You set yourself up for. That's pretty good. Just you're like, I can't trust Dr. Dream's gonna take this and run with it, so I'm just gonna take it all on my own. It's like a quarterback sneak. You just like, oh my gosh. All right.
Oh goodness. So this lady has ribs in and out. And so I'll just say chapter 5 of the Stop the Pain book is about ribs. Ribs are the unknown soldier, So if you have pain when taking a deep breath, either front or back, it's a rib that has shifted, right? And it's when a rib goes out, it's not this, it's the whole thing shifts. So you can address it on the front or the back. So just know if you've got a weird pain and nobody can find what it is and it's been troubling you for years, whatever, you can relax the muscles and do the little techniques in the book. You might get some ribs home. So anyway, I came across this lady's back and there were ribs out. And I did all the rib techniques and they weren't going back home. I was like, when the rib whisperer can't get a rib back home, you're in trouble. There's something else at play, right? So she said, I feel a little weepy. I feel like there's some emotion in that. I went, of course. So I checked for trapped emotions. And this time I used my sniffer. I'm going to sniff out that trapped emotion, right? So I go, is there a trapped emotion? Yes. All right. Column A, can't get air in. No. Column B, yeah. All right. And so I just went through the chart, most of which I have memorized, found it, cleared it. And then without even touching her again, the ribs had gone back home. The next time I checked, they were home.
Wow.
I was like, So anyway, that's when that's useful.
Okay,
when
that makes sense.
Get to your hands.
That makes sense.
So it's not my everyday thing, but boy, I'm glad I have it when I need it. Okay, so then there are people that are just going to be skeptical. It doesn't make sense to their thinker brain. So we've got them too. All right, if that's you, tune in, lean in for this. Okay. So this one is so unmanipulatable, so reliable. Technology attached to this factor is admissible in a court of law. Lie detection. Okay?
Okay.
So take let me get a darker background okay. So take and rub your finger and thumb pads together. And some people do a little circle. Some people just do back and forth. Whatever feels right when you're doing that. And you're going to say, my name is Dr. Dream.
My name is Dr. Dream.
And we'd expect it to be fairly smooth.
Right.
Okay. The other name, Dr. Rewire.
My name is Sally Smith. I feel like I'm controlling it.
You can't be. What do you feel?
That it's not smooth.
Yeah.
Right.
Why would you think you're controlling that? When I tell you what this is, you'll go, oh yeah, I can't control that. like lie detection, really? I mean, it's unmanipulatable, basically. I can't even tell you the kind of skill it would take to. So it's hand moisture. You told a lie. My name is Sally Smith. And your body went, no, no, your hand got moist. Sweaty palm syndrome, like some people public speaking.
Right.
Now go back to my name is Dr. Dream.
My name is Dr. Dream.
And now
it definitely feels different.
Yeah. And now pick another name out of the ethers there.
My name is David Hawkins. Definitely feels different.
Yep.
Wow.
So some people say sticky. Like, I mean, you could, let me just see if I can get close enough with a dark enough background. My name is Joe Schmo. Can you see it jumping there? It's like, and my name is Vienna. And it changes this fast. And that's smooth. And I'm pressing.
It's wild that it changes that fast.
Mm-hmm. That's your body. That's how amazing our bodies are.
Well, I like that. I like that.
Mind blown, right?
Yeah.
So when you got somebody that just can't buy into the woo-woo stuff, you go, okay, I got some real science for you.
Interesting.
So,
all right.
So the body knows, the body keeps the score.
That's the whole thing.
Yep. And then one other, I had a chiropractor that I was working with. She didn't trust her muscle testing. And we worked through all these different kinds of things. And she goes, I don't know, the thing that I really trust is when I really, really need to know something. So she'd already figured this out and hadn't quite admitted it to herself, maybe. I said, when I really need to know, I'll state it. And if I feel expansive around my heart, I know it's yes. And I feel contracted, I know it's no. I said, then use that. You don't need all these other things. Go with what your internal compass says.
Okay.
So, and I got to go visit a practitioner's with a friend one time, and she was teaching her to tune into her inner knowing. So it just said, be still, be comfortable. So this is for all of you. This is advanced for sure. Play with the others first to get the idea, okay? Unless you already have that inner knowing. So you could sit, kind of shake out any tension, and then show me my yes. Notice anywhere in your body. Often it's in the core, kind of neck to waist. Show me my no. Okay. And this is the be a noticer thing. Show me my yes. Okay. Show me my no. All right. I feel a little something. Did you do it?
I didn't do it.
Oh.
I was just watching you to see if I could tell if anything was going on. Now, I want to ask something.
Yes.
I consider myself to be very intuitive, like incredibly tapped into my intuition.
Yes.
Does intuition play into any of this? Is that like me feeling something within myself?
I would say so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I would call that connected. Okay. So now I'm going to ask you to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to do it before I describe what mine was.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Just
Great.
go ahead and show me my yes.
Show me my yes.
Show me my no.
Show me my no.
Okay. Go back to yes. It's nuancy.
Right.
So it might take a few times.
Yeah, I like that word. Like, is that a real word?
It is now.
I know. I like it. I knew what you meant.
In the dictionary of dreams.
Show me my yes. Show me my no. Okay. I mean, I'm
Get a sense a little
feeling
something?
a little nuancy thing going on there. It felt looser right in here, like, so I guess expansive, and it felt a little bit, but it was not as noticeable as I would like it to be. That's why I'm identifying the ones that work for me. You know, I'm like, okay, thumb and the
yeah.
circle works.
Yeah.
The sniffer, I think I could practice with that. The
Right.
stand and sway, definitely.
Yes.
But some of the other ones, I'm like, okay, no, this
Right.
is not
Right.
working for me. Oh, and this, I think I
Yeah.
could get
That
used to
seemed
this. Could I
clear.
get used to this? Yes,
Yeah.
I could get used to it.
That's using
It's working.
That's using your muscle testing. I don't know if that's technically muscle testing then. Let's call that applied kinesiology.
Okay, so
I
what
mean,
is the
because that's not
difference?
muscle. I mean, I'm not using it's not a difference in muscle that I'm noticing there.
Okay.
It's called galvanic skin response, GSR, if we really must know.
Wow.
The
Okay,
facts,
I really wanted
right?
to know, so now it's GSR. I'm there.
And it's hand moisture. So
I think it's wild that it happens that quickly.
that is truly astounding.
That's what's so interesting to me. I'm really going to have to work with that. It's telling me, yes, I really do have to work with this. So
your new BFF.
Right. GSR. Fun with initials.
Oh, so truly. All right. So that is the last of the alternative things that I wanted to teach. Let's see. Clear yes and no questions. Multiple choice doesn't work that well. You know, I mean, I guess if someone were maybe with your intuition, you could go A, B, C, D, or E. You know, what am I feeling? A, B, C, D.
Right. But then you could, the same way of like breaking it into
That's
pieces
what you have to do.
or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, it's
right.
it's binary is the point. Yes, no. So top half, bottom half, among the top half, first, second. Yeah, exactly.
And so I have different practitioners that I have experience with. I was telling you about one who uses a bobber.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's really kind of wild. But that's sort of a specialty that wouldn't translate so well into muscle testing or applied kinesiology.
I wouldn't call it because they're not moving their hand to move that. It's very much tapping into the field.
Right.
So it's just saying, please show me. You know, so I don't think it's much different than a pendulum.
Right.
It's just
reading
the
So I have people
signs.
that I've seen that take a pendulum and it's like, and they're going up and it's like, oh, 30,000. I'm just like, wow, that just blows my mind because here I am like, is that a yes or no? And they're like, just like, whoa, okay. So all the different levels and advances and everything and practice is what it takes to get that comfort level, which is an absolute necessity. And so I like that. I have some things to work on.
Awesome. So I think, frame the questions in the positive.
Questions.
Frame the statements in the positive. Like, this is bad for me. No.
Okay.
This is good for me. We want to do things in that high vibration.
Got you. All right.
Thanks,
that makes sense.
Thanks for catching the question word.
I like that. Well, I'm just learning. It's taking a shift for obviously both of us to move out of what we've done for so long. And I like that. And I like that it came out of Power
David
versus
R.
Force,
Hawkins.
which is a
classic. Good stuff. Any other questions?
Well, no, I don't need to ask you anything because I have access to all of it myself. So you've sort of worked yourself out of a situation here.
That's my goal. That's my goal. So in closing, that's wonderful that we have practitioners we can go to. And when something really big is on the line, that's great to know we can go to them. But how great would it be to have a practitioner in every home?
Right. And it is for everybody, like anyone who's breathing.
Yep.
And I like that.
It really
works.
Beautiful.
Fabulous. So where can people find you? Where can they connect with you further? And do you do like, you do individual Zoom teaching? Do you do group teaching?
Both. I started out doing group teaching with it. When I first learned it, a friend that was writing a book at the same time I was, said, hey, you want to come teach in my little school? I'm going, surely. So that's always a possibility. If just even a little interest group, you've got a little group of healers and you want to have just some really individualized, oh, this person has this experience and these questions and whatever, I'm glad to do that. Or one-on-one sessions, Zoom in person. I'm in Kansas City area. And really, Zoom is quite efficient. If I can say something really good that came out of the early years of this decade, that our comfortability with Zoom has been amazing.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Now, where do they find you? Website? Any?
My website is currently being shifted from one place to another, so I'll try to have it set up by the time to drop in the show notes by the time this goes live.
Okay.
And then viennadunham.com.
Okay.
No, I think that is a thing, but viennadunham@gmail.com would get it there.
Oh, fabulous.
For now.
Okay. Email address. All right. Perfect. Well, I want to thank you so much. Obviously, this has been a lot of fun, and thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
If nothing else, people have learned something and gotten a good dose of entertainment and humor. And whatever happens with our chosen fields, I feel like we could kind of go out on the comedy circuit. Like the higher vibrational comedy circuit. I mean, this is a thing that's going to start happening, and they're going to want these teams of comedians to just go out there and just play and do this fun stuff. So
exactly,
we've got something open to us. This could be our reel to send out to the high vibrational comedy clubs that don't exist yet and say, "Are you ready to book us?" Thank you so much. I have enjoyed my interaction with you from the time that I met you. And I feel like tonight we took it to a whole nother level. And I promise we never have to do that again. And thank you all. Wow, look at that. I'm telling you, we make a team. Thank you for being here with us, and hopefully you're still here listening at the end of this broadcast. But one of the goals of the It's All Good show is not just to give information that helps us transmute things and everything else, but to teach you some modalities and things like that. And this was fabulous. And I know that people are going to get something out of this because I got something out of this.
Beautiful.
So thank you very much.
My
we'll
pleasure.
see you soon. Many blessings, everyone.